Hello everyone, myself Sabri and I welcome you to our channel Solution Bridge Network and one-stop solution for all your Power Platform tutorials.
Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to understand how to create an expandable and collapsible menu in Power Apps. If you see my screen, you could see four different menu items: dashboard, sales, HR, and settings. And you can see you have an expansion available for the first three. And if you expand, you will be able to see the submenu beneath that specific selected menu. If you select another menu, you will be able to see that respective submenus. And here, settings does not have any submenu, so you're not seeing an indication. We will be recreating the same interface from scratch using the modern controls as well as the responsive design. Let's jump back to the video and see it in action. Let me go to the edit mode. If you see here, I already have few screens created as per the menu icons. So I have all these screens are empty where I just have their screen names copied in the top navigation. So let me take you to the app, and first we should create the structure of the expandable and collapsible menu. So in the app property, go to a section called formulas. If you are new to formulas, I have a separate video which explains what is a formula, how it can be used in Power Apps. I've given the link of the video in description for your easy access. Now let's start creating our menu component. Let's call nav menu is equal to, this should be an array, so it should be an open close square bracket, and of this open close square bracket it should be objects for each menu. So let me open a curly bracket and close it. Let's start creating our menus now. I would like to have few properties inside each of the object which refers to each of the menu items. So first I would like to have the menu name. The first menu name is dashboard. Add a comma. Go to the second property. Here, the second property I would like to call as screen. You can just type in the exact name of the screen like what you see here. I will call it as dashboard, and you see the IntelliSense gives you the name. If you select, you will be able to see that in form of a control. Yeah, that's perfect. Next is the icon. I would like to call the icon, and here we can define the icon. So for this, I would like to call it as home as the icon. Since I already know what is the name of the icon, it is easy for me to type in. Let me add a comma here so that the error vanishes. So to find the exact name for the icon, you can just go to a screen, add a button. This should be of type modern controls. So here you have an icon property, and if you go here you will see a list of varieties of icon. For instance, if you want to use the calendar, you can add the calendar, and if you go to the icon property you will see the name of the actual icon. So this is how the names are derived here. So if you want to change any of that, you can go select your preferred icon and replace the name here, so you will have that icon visible in that specific button. Now, we have three properties: menu, screen, and icon. So I would like to add two more. One is has submenu. This is of type Boolean. So I will say, does the dashboard has submenu? Yes, the dashboard has submenu. So I will call it as true. Now, first let's create all the menu items. Then let's jump back to the submenu. So as you see here, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 menu icons. So what I will do, I will just copy this, add a comma. So now we have all our prime menus defined. For dashboard, yes, we have a submenu. Sales, we have a submenu. HR, we have a submenu. But for settings, we do not have a submenu. So I will call it as false. So now we have our primary menus defined. As I said already, we need to make sure we have the submenus added as well. So submenu follow the same procedure. So I will add a comma, go here, call it as submenu. And this submenu will again contain an array of objects. So this submenu is an array where contains series of objects. So each submenu will have the same format. So it is submenu name. The first submenu name, what I see it in the dashboard is just hover over the alt and you can click this overview and reports. So let me go here. I will call this as overview, and we just need to copy the same thing, screen and icon. I would copy it here, paste it, just do the format text so the things gets aligned. Perfect. So here the screen that it navigates to should be overview, and the icon what I would like to use is I. As I said, this has two submenus, so I will copy this, add a comma. I'm not gonna add my submenus here. Probably we will go and create the component, and then we will try to add the submenus and see how the component reacts once after it is created. Let's jump back to the component section where we can start creating a component. Let me click on plus new component. This will create a blank screen. I would like to call this as nav component, and let me make sure the size is just few small things. So I'll call it as 300. This can be adjusted automatically in the screens because we will be placing this nav bar inside a responsive container. As a first thing, what I would like to do is to add a gallery. So I will go insert, call it as a gallery, and I would like to add a blank flexible height gallery. Once it is added, I want you to push it to the top, and let's say make sure height and width are parent. So parent dot height and parent dot width. It's parent dot width. Let me go to the height and I call it as parent dot height. So now whenever the screen size changes, the gallery automatically changes its size. Once this is done, we need to make sure we add the formula whatever we created in the app section. To use all the scopes, that is variable and collections created in the app, you need to make sure the access app scope inside the component is turned on. So make sure you turn this on, go to the gallery, and in the source of the gallery, now you will be able to call the nav menu whatever you have created. Now, if you select the nav menu, you will be able to see the four different menus, and you have added one submenu here, table, which you can see. So now let's come back, go to the individual template, edit it. I would like to make sure to get rid of this padding. So I'll call the padding as 0. And let me start creating the menu icons. I would like to go insert a button inside each of the template. Make sure you drag the button to that corner and make sure you adjust the width. Keep in mind, we are planning to use it in the responsive container, so you should make sure all the width and the height properties are dynamically set. So let me go to the width property and call it as parent dot template width. So it will align accordingly to the full screen. Now, I would like to make sure the alignment is to this left corner, and in the icon, I would like to call it as this item dot icon. So this will add all the icon whatever we have configured in the formula bar. Once after you have added the icon, in the properties of that button, make sure the icon style is set to filled so that the icon will be clearly visible. As a next step, we need to make sure the text is getting synced. So go to the text property of the button, call it as this item dot menu name. Now you see dashboard, sales, HR, and settings as the four different menu items. I don't want the color to be visible like that. So go to the selected button, come here to the type of that button and set that button to transparent. So now you have four different icons. You might be seeing a blank space. If you hover over the alt, you will see it correct. So whenever you click this button, you need to make sure this gets navigated to that selective screen. So in the button, go to the on select property, and here add a command navigate this item dot screen. And if you want to show a transition, you can show. I would like to show it as cover right. And now let me close the navigate. So now we have all the four icons added. Let me click the alt, so you will be able to see all the four menu with their respective icons. Now we are trying to configure the arrow here for each of the submenus. So let me go back to the same template. I would like to add one more button in all of the template. Make sure that button is placed in this corner. We need to make sure this follows responsive control. So we need to update the dynamic things for the height and width. Before that, I would like to set this layout to have icon only, and that icon should be a chevron, and I would like to use the chevron, right? After you do, you will be able to resize the button so that it looks small. And after you have done that, now it's time for us to adjust the properties so that this always fits to the right end of that gallery. If you go to the X property, you can call it as parent dot template width. So if you see, this is going out of that control. So say minus the respective width of that control. So it is self dot width. So it automatically comes and aligns always to the right corner of the template. Now let's make sure and follow the same thing. I would like to set it as transparent, and the icon should be marked as filled. And I want this icon to be visible if and only if it has a submenu. So you already know we have a item which says true or false. That is, this item has submenu. So when I mark it, you can see we have this indication only for these three because settings does not have a submenu. Let me take you to the app property. In the app property, if you have noticed in the formula, we have said has submenu true for all these three, but we have not added the submenu yet. So I would like to call this as false for now. Now, if you come back to the component, you will see the change whatever you made. Only the dashboard has that indication. Now we need to make sure we insert another gallery inside this template. So I have just selected the template, go to insert, call a gallery, and insert it inside the specific gallery template. So each item of this gallery will have an embedded gallery inside it. So now we need to make sure the second gallery, whatever is updated, should also have the padding set to 0. And this directly sits next to that button, whatever we have configured already. Go to the Y property, let's call it as button canvas 2 dot height. So this gets automatically next to that button. Want to increase 1 point, you can say +1, so that that starts next from that button. Now we need to make sure the total height of the gallery is automatically based on the number of entries whatever you have in the submenu. So go to the height property of the gallery and say count rows of this item dot submenu and multiply that by 40. So based on each of the submenu, for instance, if you have 5 submenus, so it will do 5 star 40 and adjust the height accordingly. Now we need to make sure the gallery source is set. So the source of the gallery is nothing but this item dot this item dot submenu. Similarly, we would like to add individual buttons inside this gallery. So go add a button, just follow the same practice whatever we did, placing the button in that corner. In the text, we call it as this item dot submenu name. Similarly, in the icon, we will call it as this item dot icon, and we need to make sure the size of this button is adjust. So we have selected that button, go to the width of the button, call it as parent dot template width, so it extends automatically, and align it to the left corner and make sure the type is transparent and the icon still is set to filled. If you see now, this the primary menu and the submenu falls under the same line. So we would like to have a small padding. So let's increase this X property to 10. So you will see a small padding. You see this difference? If you want to increase the padding, you can increase it. So I will call it as 20. And now you see this gallery going out. Go to the width of the gallery, say parent dot template width minus self.x. This will perfectly fit the gallery inside the template. Now, if you hover over the alt, you will see. So this shows the overview and reports directly beneath the dashboard. Now it's time for us to control the visibility property of this gallery. So this gallery should be shown if and only if this icon is clicked. So let me go to that button, and in the on select of the button, I will write and create a small variable. So here I will say set where selected menu, and it's nothing but this item dot menu name. Let me close this. You might ask a question how I can define a variable inside the component. This is because we have enabled the apps access app scope. So we have the privilege to create the variable. So I'll copy the name of the variable I've created, and let me select the gallery, which is inside another gallery, and go to the visible property. Here I will say this item dot menu name is equal to where selected menu, then show this. So whenever I navigate to the primary button, I do not want to see any specific submenus. So I will say set where selected submenu is blank. We hover the alt. Now if you click this icon, you will see the menus expanded. Now let's try to add this component, whatever we have created in the screen, and see how it works. Let me go back to the screen section, and in the dashboard, I would like to add the container here. So let me click on plus, go to the custom and add the nav component, whatever I have created. So here you can set it to fit this container width accordingly. Go to the sidebar, make sure you remove the padding. So this sets automatically, and here you need to call it a stretch. So now if you select the component exceeding the size of this container, so you need to make sure this is get set aligned to the parent. So we have already selected the component. Go to the properties, you see something called the minimum width. I would like to call this as parent dot width. So this sits exactly to the size of that container. Now if you run and change the views, you will be able to see that exactly aligning to the visibility. So now if you expand, you will be able to see two different submenus, and if you click, it will automatically navigate to that selective tabs which we need to configure in the navigation. So we have configured the navigation part for the main menus. So if you click dashboard, you're already on the dashboard. If you click sales, you will navigate to the sales. So let me go back and configure the same level of navigation for the submenus as well. Go to the components, select alt, click the button to view it, and select the buttons here, and in the on select property, make sure you navigate. So navigate this item dot screen, and we use the same transition cover right. So this will also now go with the transition. Now if you get back to the screen, run this app, Consider you are going to a different tablet view. You see, this automatically gets aligned to the visibility. But one problem what you may face any of the mobile phones with the normal orientation, there are chances your text and the icon gets merged. The reason being the less availability of the real estate. So to achieve this, we can control one property in the component which you have already worked on. Let's go to the component, and here select that specific button, and you see here the layout, and we see something called icon before, and there are options icon only. So in the layout, I would like to call if parent dot width is less than 200, then icon only, else icon before. Let me close this. I would like to add this in the submenu buttons as well. In the layout, you can just copy paste. Now let me jump back to the screen, run the app, behaving differently where we see the text, but we are expected to see only the icon. Let me go back and see if the name, whatever I have defined, has some errors. So here in each of this icon in the layout, we need to make sure icon before, oh, it's small. So make sure O is small, icon only. And similarly, let's go here and make this O small, icon only. Let's jump back to the screen and run and see it in the mobile mode. Now you could see the only icons. Perfect. If you navigate, this navigates to the specific other screens. So let me switch back. And whenever we are in the dashboard tab, you see the actual navigations in the required format. If you switch to the mobile phone, you will be able to see the required icons, and rest other functions works perfectly. And go back and add all other required submenu items. So now I would like to go to the formulas in the app property where we have the menus defined. We need to make sure these submenus are configured for sales and HR. So I would like to first change this to true, and let me paste the submenu icons whatever I have. Since you have automatically added it in the navigation of this formulas, now you will be able to see that directly in your screen. So if you run the app, now you can see these three indications wherever we have the submenus. If you expand the dashboard, you will be able to see the submenu beneath the dashboard overview and reports. If you go to sales, you will see the opportunities, leads, and invoices. Similarly, in the HR, you will be able to see their respective submenus. If you select on any specific submenu, you will be able to navigate it to their respective options. So one additional configuration, what you can do is to make sure to change the color of the menu icon if ever you are active on that specific page. Please try that out and comment if you need any additional help. By this, we come to end of this video.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, hit the like button, and press the bell icon for our new video alerts.